Um, well, actually, it's very difficult questions. You put here what are narratives. I will be very simple. These are stories. Stories we talk or we write about. So stories have some plot, beginning, middle, and ending, and they have some templates, or they also have maybe not some templates. So in this sense, we have a lot of stories, and stories are something that really affect reality, because stories also create this reality, not only affect but create this reality. I think it's maybe sound too postmodern, but I think reality is kind of constructed by stories. In this sense, they are affected by stories. And and next, so I think that stories creates also conflicts, and we have a lot of examples from history, historical examples how texts of hatred inspired conflicts, and the recent ones are what happened in the Caucasus, for example, for us. So we know very well how it could work in terms of creation of conflicts, but we have very few knowledge about how to decrease the conflict, how to resolve the conflict using narratives. There is very few knowledge about that, as far as I know. So in this sense, I think that this conference might be considered as a maybe very small but important step towards quite new field of research and a new unexplored area. And next, how to reconcile narratives. For example, in Jim Birch's analysis of types of narratives, he indicated different types of narratives, like sealed narratives, dialogic narratives, and narratives with templates, and specific narratives. So 4 types of narratives. I mean, from the perspective of, for example, social cultural approach, or maybe Mikhail Mikhailovich Bakhtin's approach, who wrote a lot about dialogical nature of human consciousness, and I mean, maybe there is no such a notion as sealed narratives. I don't know, because even narratives which could be perceived as sealed narrative without any direct replica to some other, but I think you could find hidden dialogicality within these narratives. Even, for example, in case with I showed, in case of Armenian version of Nagorno-Karabakh history and Azerbaijani version of Karabakh history, it seems that they are sealed, but they definitely we can find hidden dialogicality within these between these texts. They as a kind of replica to each other's claims. In this sense, I think. We could work on this, because if there is a dialogicality, even in hidden form, we can explicate it, and then we can, I don't know, maybe maybe we need to explore more types of narratives. I use in my experiments 3 types: common suffering, blame Russians, and common cultural traits. But there might be other types of narrative. I don't know. We need time and. Of course, resources, but also we need some imagination to create some different types of narratives. In case with Armenia, for example, as Stepan told me, there's some specifics they couldn't use this, they couldn't use directly the type of narrative blame Russians, because they have more closer relations with Russia, and as far as I understand, the Russians have some political standing in Armenia more than in Azerbaijan. So in this sense, it might be difficult, but again, I think that even in, again, Stepan told about this case with a woman without mustache, Turkish woman without mustache. So it sounds that if someone appeared and said something good, it's a story again. It might change some perceptions and stereotype. I don't know. So in this sense, we can work on this, trying to develop this dialogical interactions between narratives, and also experiment by. I think that there is no other way to go to this without. There is no way. Maybe you could be a very sophisticated philosopher to find, but we also need some experimental data to experiment it, because there are some. For example, Alan showed that our intuitive beliefs not work, or they're wrong in many cases. So in this sense, we need a combination of theoretical and experimental research and efforts. And here's a very good, nice group of people who can do all these sort of things. So in this sense, I hope that it will develop further. And the last question was, what are the options for what? What are
coming up with
for the reconciliation? Well, the very simple thing is we need some actions. As Professor Redebaum told that we need some actions. If we do some actions, political actions, or we can get more space for doing construction in narrative as well. But there's something that should be done in practical sphere, of course. So there's the option which, because for example, in my research, I think that no any kind of narrative could influence to decrease negative attitudes and emotions towards among people who were displaced from their lands. So it couldn't work. So we should do some practical steps, and then we can again experimentally test some narratives and implement them into real practice. That's my answer.